Thomas, it's up for grabs now!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by pierre-emerick.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Arsenal Lounge. We've got a debutant tonight. Bav is in the house. Hi, Bav. Welcome to the Arsenal Lounge. Congratulations on making your lounge debut. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's a privilege. I'm here. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem, man. No problem. We're just waiting for Ryan. He's just running a little bit late, so he will join us shortly. We'll talk about the game briefly with the guys, and then I'll put the link in the comments for anybody who wants to come on, ask questions, or have they say about last night's result. I'm sure everybody would want to talk about that. It was right. Without further ado, I'll go to the debutant. What was your thoughts about last night?
Do you know what? Right, I'm not normally a person that blames one person for a result, but for me, that's all on the manager. And people will know that I've actually backed him in the past, but that was all on the manager. He kind of showed his inexperience to experiment in a semi-final of European football. Your biggest game as Arsenal manager, to go for a false stand when you've got Martinelli on the bench, you've even got Nketiah, who's still a focal point. I think that is that for a lot of fans could be the final straw, and I'd say rightly so for a lot of people. For me, I'm still holding my judgment till next Thursday because things could still change. But yeah, man, after that game, it's very difficult to even back the manager, and I think it was an embarrassing performance. In that first half, we were outplayed, out-tacticked, outworked, and Emery was toying with us. And if it wasn't for his, Emery made a pragmatic decision in the second half to take off his striker and bring on a defensive midfielder, it might have been tie over 3-4-0, but hey, guess we're lucky.
Very good assessment. Very good assessment. I have to agree with certain posts. African Gooner, how are you, man? First of all, to start with, I haven't forgotten you. This is normally your show. I'm just, coming in today. Just, I know you had a bit of a injury. You've been tackled funny. It's always the good players that get tackled badly, so don't feel bad. Yeah, man, go for it. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to be here and be on the other side of the fan cam today. But I mean, just echo what Bob said. Really, I mean, to experiment in the biggest game of your career, and it's not just Arsenal. Personally, Arteta's career, right? He's never been in a European semi-final. This is his first European semi-final. Be it in the Europa League, it's still a European semi-final, right? And to go ahead and play Pepe, as a centre forward, play a false nine, play Xhaka at left back, when we've seen literally last week Friday against Everton, Richarlison, tore him to pieces. Yes, Leno should have done better. But if Xhaka doesn't get beat, if Tierney's in that position, Cedric's in that position, that cross isn't coming through. It's going for a corner, right? So he got exposed by Richarlison, and obviously we decided to play him again at left back. And yeah, we got caught. You could see Emery already knew that Xhaka was our weakest link. And, although Pepe did really well, in my opinion, and I don't know what you guys think, but this was the first time I saw Pepe tracking back, vigorously. I was really proud of him because I get onto Pepe quite a bit because he doesn't do some defensive work. And I did see him helping out yesterday, but still, that wasn't enough, right? You play Martinelli on that left wing, you get a complete different dynamic. You play Saka as left back, you get a complete different dynamic. You get overlapping, and I think that was a huge mistake from Arteta. I think the other thing for me was when we went 2-0 down, I mean, the guy was just scratching his chin. He didn't make any substitutions. I think as fans, we could all see we needed to make substitutions. We go into halftime, and we're like, please make substitutions. Take off Ceballos. He's on a yellow card. Bring in Martinelli. Bring in Aubameyang. Okay, cool. Maybe Aubameyang just came from his sickness, and maybe he knows he only had 10 to 20 minutes, so he didn't bring him on. But he had Martinelli, he had El Neni, he had Cedric to bring on, he had many options. He waited, in the first minute of the second half, Ceballos makes a horrible tackle. I'm like, take him off now. I tweeted immediately, take him off now. He's on thin ice. He's gonna get a red card. We wait. Bang. Red card. Game is pretty much over. And as Bav said, they really could have scored 3-4 goals. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I've never turned off an Arsenal game in my life. In my entire life. And I saw the clock and I saw 30 minutes left. And I was like, how can I sit here watching this when we're getting battered with 10 men? I mean, it was so hard to watch, right? And I think we got really lucky. Saka, again, our superstar, coming in and saving, saving Arteta and getting that penalty, right? And then Pepe slotting it in. And then, something I think people haven't talked about is, in the 94th minute, you're bringing on Willian and El Neni. What is going on? Why are you bringing them on in the 94th minute? What are they going to do in 30 seconds? It's just such a bad substitution. It's just appalling for me. And I mean, all these decisions for me really showcase that regardless if he pulls it back next week, regardless if he gets the players in the summer transfer window, he really showcased that he's a rookie yesterday for me, in my opinion. And I've backed him and I've tried to give him as much time. I've tried to be balanced with it because I know he doesn't have the squad to do what we want him to do. But yesterday he just made mistakes that, are unforgivable in my opinion.
Thanks, man. We've got another debutant tonight on the Arsenal Lounge. It's Ryan from the Mr. Arsenal podcast. How are you, man? You good?
Considering we got battered yesterday, as it's already mentioned, yeah, not too bad.
Good stuff. We're just going through everybody's opinion on the game yesterday and what everyone's thoughts. So if you want to give us your thoughts as well on the game.
Literally, under Arteta, or not even under Arteta, the worst game of football from Arsenal I've seen in years. Not in any competition, league, cup, whatever. It's a European semi-final, and they just didn't look like they were up for it. They didn't. It's like they were playing at a Barcelona sort of team. They're showing the team too much respect. Xhaka, I don't know why Xhaka's on the left. We've got a left back on a player that can play left back on the bench, more natural than him. So Ceballos, don't get me started on that. And what pissed me off about that even more was afterwards, and Arteta goes, I was about to take him off. Well, why didn't you take him off at half time? Seriously, man management. The guy's, he's got a hot head. He's on a booking. Just take him off. We needed subs at half time. This is another thing about Arteta. He never makes any subs at half time when he needs to make them. And like it's already been mentioned, 30 seconds to the end brings 2 subs on for what reason? For 30 seconds run out, and they've still got to do a warm down. Woohoo! Yay! So now we've got all to do for them. We're at home. Our home form is abysmal this season. 8 games out of our 13 league defeats have been 1-0 losses. And they've all been at home against lesser teams. Let's be honest.
Yeah, listen, you're spot on in everything that you're saying. I just want to say hi everybody on the comments. We're going to put a link in a comments later if you want to come on the show and ask guys questions or have your say. So you can do that. For me, there was a couple of really worrying signs that I saw last night. One, Arteta didn't come across as a manager that is under pressure.
No.
A manager that is under pressure and he's probably worried about his job will not try that in semi-final. So that's a worrying thing, because if you're under pressure and you think, you know what, I'm going to play it safe, I'm going to make sure, and this is something that we have not done since he's been here. Then why would you pick now out of all of these times to try something like that? This is the most important game of your career, my friend. And then afterwards, again, the substitution shows his inexperience. He's probably out of his depth for the job, and there's more questions now than answers in terms of himself and his knowledge and whether he's fit for the Arsenal job. But the biggest thing for me, as I said, it was a manager that is under pressure will not mess around with the lineup before a most important game.
Yeah,
so that, for me, that was a bit worrying. I wanted to talk to you guys about next week. Obviously, we've got a game now, and then comes next week. I think Premier League, we all agree, is done. We're not going to get anywhere with that. Seeing what we've seen from Arteta, I think one word that can be associated that is unpredictability. How important now is next week Thursday, right? And if Arteta was to call you guys and say, you know what, give me advice, what should my approach be? Considering what we've seen from them, considering what Unai Emery is a master of this competition. We're behind 2-1. We've had a game with them once already now in Spain. So what do you think should be the approach? 1, 2, do you think we're in a position that we should be optimistic about going through? Having seen Man United are effectively in final now, so that we know more or less that is what's waiting for us in the final. So should we be optimistic about getting through to the final? And obviously the final is going to be another scenario, or we're on thin ice next week Thursday. I'll start with you, Bath.
It's a sticky one because, as you said, if we even progress, you got United in the final, who are massively better than us right now. You can see the quality they have, Fernandes and Pogba. Would I want to lose to United in the final, and get embarrassed again like at Chelsea, like Baku? I don't think so.
That's a predicament,
and it is one of those.
You're right. We can next week Thursday. We can go out there and we can smash these 4-0, right? And then, do you know what? I don't know. Listen, I don't know how this is going to sound, Bav, right? But if I had to choose to lose to one of these guys, it will be next week Thursday.
Yeah, I said that as well before. I can't lose to United in the final. And it's just the quality they have is a lot better than Arsenal. It's not like Villarreal and Arsenal is a closer competition than Man United should be. And look how they've breezed through Sociedad. They got through AC Milan. They got through Roma's a good team. It's a very good team, Roma. Mkhitaryan, Pellegrini, Xhaka. So their quality, they're going to want to win a trophy under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well. That will be the first cup final. And the quality players they have, the world-class players they have, and then the players Arsenal have. Who's going to turn up? What Arsenal will turn up? Tactically from Arteta, will he experiment in the final? You don't know, So it's just a very sticky scenario. But in terms of next week's game, it's weird. I'm quietly optimistic with the players returning, like Tierney, Luiz, Aubameyang, Lacazette potentially. But at the same time, Emery is a master, as you said. This is his competition. And I could see him, I think the approach we should go for is what we did against Slavia Prague the second leg, which is a more pragmatic approach, sit back and counter-attack. Because we don't have the players to dominate games like a Man City does. We don't have the players to play like a false nine like we did with Smith Rowe, like maybe Guardiola can do when he has De Bruyne there. We don't have De Bruyne, So I think go for that pragmatic approach, try to hit him on the counter-attack, exploit the strengths of Pepe, which is speed. If Aubameyang plays, Aubameyang's finishing, make chances for him. And it'll be a massive call in terms of who he selects in that front four. Who's going to be a striker, who's a left winger, right winger, attacking midfielder. And defensively as well, I don't think you can play Mari and Holding again, because they were horrific yesterday. There was one time where Moreno walked past both of them in the middle. Massive gap. And, no one wants to close them down, no one wants to close the gap down. So, yeah, this is Mikel Arteta, the end game, let's just say.
I'm going to ask this question at the end of all of your assessment of this. Do you have confidence in Arteta picking the right team? you can't say no, Bab. It's okay.
That says it all.
I really don't know, because as you said, it's unpredictable. You sometimes you can get the Slavia Prague second leg and you just turn up on his great performances, and then you have yesterday. And if you look at our Europa League run so far, Benfica the first game we were awful. Second leg we came through. Against Olympiacos in the first leg we were good. Second leg we were awful. Against Slavia Prague first leg not the best. Second leg great. And this game again, we've never been good over 2 legs, which is not a positive sign. And so, I'm not sure, man. I don't think he can. Well, he can obviously, but I don't think he will.
I'll take that as a no.
Yeah.
African Gooner.
Yeah, there was just 2 points before I answer those questions. I mean, the 2 points I wanted to get off my chest was, one, when we went down to 10 men, why did he take so long to bring on Aubameyang? That should be the first instinct. Martinelli was already on. He should have brought Aubameyang straight away to get that goal. And I think that was a mistake. And then 2, I don't know what you guys feel, but I felt like Leno, listen, he had a really good game and he made some really pivotal saves. But for me, he was too slow, man. He was holding onto the ball way too long around the 87th, 88th minute. I'm like, dude, we need to score. What are you doing? Why are you holding the ball for so long? Those are 2 things that I wanted to point out that aggravated me. And in terms of the questions you posed, Shahin, I mean, next week, in terms of Arteta, listen, we spoke to Fabrizio Romano and he told us straight, like, if we get knocked out, Arteta's job is pretty much secure. So my opinion for that really is, in terms of next week, if we lose, Arteta will lose the fans. He's not going to get fired, but for him, it's going to be the fan base's decision on him. Because I think next week, if we get knocked out, I think a lot of fans will make that decision and say, listen, you're not the man, right? And yeah, go ahead.
Can I tell you something on that one? I think the tide has changed a little bit. with this Super League,
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
And fans protest, I think Cronkies will be looking at anything to get a bit of brownie bonus with fans. And I think this could not be good for Arteta. You know, if these guys, they could be thinking, right, we fucked up with these fans, right? What should we do now? We need to spend money in summer. Another thing is, if Arteta messes up next Thursday, they will sack him. And the fans will be like, oh, they're now acting a little bit like how they should. So this could not work well for... When we had Fabrizio, there was no chat of Super League. There was none of this. And his job was secure. This could not work well for Mikel Arteta, man.
No, that's a good point. I still, like, we all know these guys are snakes. You're right. They could use it to their advantage and try to get the fans back on side before the summer transfer window and be like, look, we're serious. Actually go and get a Mourinho. Listen, I'm not saying I want Mourinho, but get a high-class manager, whoever it is, right? And try to get the fans back. In terms of your question, if I had to call Arteta and tell him what the game plan for next week is, quite honestly, as Bhavs said, I mean, Tierney, I love the kid, and I think people really they don't appreciate him. He doesn't just bring defensive stability. I think going forward, he's really that final piece in the puzzle for me. Yes, Thomas Partey is good and xhaka is good in the middle, but for me, Tierney runs the show. He really runs our team. Him and Saka on both sides. When Saka's on the right and Tierney's on the left, that really gives us the balance in our team. And I'm really excited to see him come back because I think that is completely going to change our outlook on the game. But my advice to him would be, start Martinelli. What has Martinelli done to this guy? He's finding...
Hold that thought. I'm going to come back to that. Hold that thought. Right, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Bab. Do you have confidence in Mikel picking the right team on Thursday?
Final closing point on that last question, I would suggest that he goes all out. We need to score as many goals as possible. If we attack the whole game, I think we'll dominate the game, as we saw against Slavia Prague. So, he needs to completely go for it. That's what I would say. And in terms of picking the team, of course not, man. I've been calling for Martinelli for 2 months. I've been calling to put Saka at left back and put, Martinelli on the right wing, or put Pepe on the right wing, put Martinelli on the left wing. There are so many options. Put Xhaka back in the midfield. I don't rate Xhaka, but I mean, I would rather have him in midfield than to see him at left back again next week, right? Or even in the final against Man United. So the final answer is no, man. I don't trust him. He's never picked a consistent team this entire season. And although there has been injuries and there have been other things, he still for me hasn't picked a solid 11. And he still doesn't know his best 11, which is why he experimented yesterday.
Fair enough. Ryan, what's your thoughts? What do you think his approach should be next Thursday? And what advice would you give him? And as I said, considering the circumstances, if you had to choose, would you rather lose next week or go to final and lose by embarrassing scoreline to Man United?
Oh, fucking hell, right. First point, basically, he has to stop. Don't know if you've noticed, he always micromanages the game, no matter who we're playing. He wants to over control it. He needs to just do what Wenger used to do when he was there. Let the players play their freedom, play to their own strengths. Because the way he's doing it doesn't work for most of our players. Let's be honest. Pepe gets held back. Saka to a point has been held back. Smith-Rowe's been held back. Odegaard is being held back to an extent. There's so much more they can give, but they're being held back because if they do what they want to do, he's going to give them an absolute rollicking because for him, it balances what he wants. So play with fucking freedom. Again, going back and also going to your next point, pick the right 11. If they're out of form, drop them. So that's Neno out, Ryan in. Ryan commands the box.
Ryan, you can't do that. You can't bring Matt Ryan.
No. Look,
that's fair enough. That's your opinion.
I've watched 2 games from Matt Ryan. The goals are not his fault. Both goals are not his fault, and he does more. When he comes out, he's not hesitant like Neno was yesterday for the corner. He's not hesitant. He comes out, he commands the box, be it a corner, free kick, or in open play. And he also, if worst case scenario we are losing, he runs up. He gets involved in the game. He runs up and gets involved in the game. Leno is not good enough. Leno has got too comfortable this season. He's too cocky. If we go back to the interview against Liverpool in the Cup, we beat him on penalties. He was so cocky, it's unbelievable. Because the only competition was sold for 25 million to Villa. Jonathan's nowhere near the class.
No, I agree. I think it's a huge risk, though, because if he does play him and then he concedes a goal or makes a bad pass out from the back, I mean, then the whole fan base is going to slaughter Arteta. It's a lose-lose situation for him because even if Leno messes up, we would have said, oh, play Matt Ryan. Why didn't you play Matt Ryan, right? But, I mean, I think he already experimented yesterday. He can never again experiment this for the rest of the season. He can never try it again.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but there's experimenting a false nine role when we don't have a false nine because our players we don't have the quality of players as a whole, especially with injuries to our squad at the moment. We don't have that system. We can't play that system. Whereas swapping out a goalkeeper, who, in my opinion, is better than Leno. After I say 2 games, that it's better for Arsenal than what Leno is doing. And he can play it from the back. He does look comfortable. What's the worst could happen? We're losing anyway. He has to go for it. He has to play his best players. And Leno is out of form. This is not just yesterday. It's the Everton game.
Ryan, he did make a few.
Yeah, he saved us yesterday.
You know,
He
kept us in the game.
He makes a few saves, but the second goal, you watch the replay, he goes to come out and he hesitates and goes back in. By the time he's gone back in, the ball's come across, it's in the net, and he falls to his knees.
Well, listen, Xhaka was standing the entire time. People blaming Thomas Partey, and yes, it was Thomas Partey, but Xhaka doesn't even move. He doesn't even move.
But again,
Also,
communication.
Emery was very clever. They blocked off Holding, so he couldn't engage the ball either. So that was Emery tactic.
Not like he can jump anyways. We've seen him being out jumped.
No, but to be fair, Holding, corners, he's actually been decent defensively.
No,
he can head them away. Yeah.
Ryan also it's under communication as well, and Leno lacks it massively.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you this: are you confident in Mikel Arteta picking a right up?
No, he hasn't. In the entire time he's been at Arsenal, he's never picked the right lineup. When we need a year and a half into his tenure, he doesn't. Like African Gooner said, he doesn't know his best 11, even when a fully fit squad. And that, again, that's concerning. He's experiment too much. And it should. But the thing is, he said it earlier. He didn't set up like he was a manager under pressure. He should be under pressure because everything that's going on, taking the potential takeover to one side for a brief second, Vinay hasn't been thrown under the boat by the Conkeys yet. If he's not thrown under the boat, who's next in line? Mikel Arteta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mikel is already on thin ice with them anyway. But I think Unai Emery knew Arsenal players better than Mikel Arteta yesterday.
100%.
Because
100%.
there were signs in a game that I think he set up his team tactically in a way that he knew the weakness of Arsenal players. And I think Mikel didn't do himself any favor by playing that formation. There's another...
Can I jump in with a point, Shahin, in terms of what you just said? I think the perfect illustration of that was in the first 10 minutes. I don't know if you guys realized their goalkeeper had the ball for like 30 seconds, as if like the game had paused. And basically the tactics was, Unai Emery told them, get them to push onto us. As soon as they push onto us, bang, counterattack. And they were deadly. And that was the game plan the entire time, was get them to press us. Yeah. We're going to pass in between them, and we're going to get chances. And that's what happened.
There's another argument that Unai Emery, being Unai Emery, has potentially let us back in a tie. Because he started pulling the Unai Emery move by bringing Coquelin on, and then they started to get nervous. And then we started to do what we usually do, which is panic in the last 10 minutes, playing balls across our goals. I mean, Xhaka played that ball across diagonal to the right back. That was exactly the same ball he played in Burnley, and then we conceded a goal. So what I'm astonished of, right, is Mikel Arteta is not one man. He doesn't sit in his hotel room on his own and picks a team. There's a team. He's got that Steve around, a few other coaches around him. They collectively come up with these stupid and baffling decisions, and that is what worrying me. It shows me there's nobody around them with a wise head on his shoulder to say, you know what, Mikel, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to in a semi-final, man? Do you really, why not? He's probably people are, Mikel, that's a great idea, mate. Let's go for it, man. Let's do. They're going to call us geniuses after, but. Another point that came from last night's game, and this point is not the first time that has popped up, right? And it's the curious case of Martinelli. What is it that listen? Mikel Arteta obviously sees something in Martinelli that none of us see, and that is the reason he doesn't play him. I don't see it. I can't. I'm sure you guys will be the same, right? I'm sure Martin Keown couldn't see it. Freddie Ljungberg couldn't see it. Odegaard went on international duty and he said Martinelli is the best young player he's played with, right? So I don't know the answer to this. Please help me out, because I don't know what is it that this guy is not getting games for. He could have played up front yesterday and he could have hustled and rushed those defenders, but he's on the bench. So I don't get it. I've seen this before. Do you remember that goal he scored against Chelsea where Kante slipped up and then he went on to score a goal? Do you guys remember that? After that, he was dropped.
Yeah.
It's like he came in. Right? I don't get it.
It's like it came in to fill Aubameyang's boots and them 3 suspensions, and he did well. I think he did nothing wrong. He did a lot right.
Time he's coming,
and he gets dropped.
Yeah, but every time he's coming, he's shown passion. He's shown hunger. He's shown pace. He's shown
quality,
hard work. He's shown quality. He's scored goals. I have not seen something from this guy to say, you know what? I can see maybe this is the reason that he's not getting a game. I don't know.
So even if you go back to the Liverpool game a few weeks ago when we got battered in the end, that defense was not their defense was there to be tested. Until we came on, nothing. They had the easiest game of their lives. He comes on and he's in their faces. And it's a good. I say that's a good thing. But he gets dropped the next game again.
Yeah, it's baffling. You know, you got Mikel Arteta. As I said, I go back to my original point that Arteta is not. He doesn't move in like a guy that is under pressure. That he's like, if you're under pressure, you don't change lineups, and then you think, you know what, I better bring this Martinelli guy. You know, he saved me before. Let me put him in. He's gonna bring fan on my side, and he's gonna perform. Bav, do you have any explanation? Do you heard anything? You seen anything?
No, not really. I think the only thing I could kind of get a gist of is that Arteta doesn't trust him on the ball. He thinks he's too much a risk taker.
But have you seen
that's
anything?
That's the only reason why.
But have you seen any sign of him not being trustworthy on the ball, if you like?
No, not really. I think the game that changed it for him was Man United at home. He started that game. He wasn't meant to start, but he started that game, and I liked what he was doing. He actually made a good chance as well, but I guess pressing-wise, defensively, he was kind of he was just chasing the ball, basically. And sometimes you don't need to chase the ball, but kind of wait for the ball to come. And Martinelli, he's got a lot of energy and enthusiasm, but he offers us something that we don't have, which is someone who wants to make runs into the box, wants to commit to get that ball. And there was a chance yesterday where Odegaard gets the ball, and there's a space down the middle, and with no striker, no one wants to attack that space. And if we had a Martinelli or a Aubameyang, even a Lacazette, you could get a goal there potentially. So I don't really know why, but I think the only reason probably is that he just thinks he's too risky. It's like Pepe. There's certain games where you think Pepe's got to start, but when there's less space, Arteta probably thinks, let me just play a Willian. He's safe on the ball, he'll keep the ball nice. But I don't know, man. It's a sticky one still.
Just to jump in on this one, I mean, I hear you, Bhavs. And in my opinion, maybe the reason that you feel that, first of all, when he loses the ball, he's the first one to press. He presses like a dog. As soon as he loses the ball, he goes to try to retrieve it, which I don't see a lot of our other players do. The second point is, I mean, he came in yesterday. We're a man down. We were 2-0 down, and you bring on Martinelli to save your butt. I mean, what kind of disrespect is that to Martinelli? In my opinion, you know what I mean? And then the other thing is, people say, Arteta sees him in training every single day. There must be something that we don't see. Listen, we've seen Martinelli for over a year now. Every single time he comes on the pitch, he's either one of the top 3 players on the pitch. It doesn't matter even if he comes on in the 80th minute. For 10 minutes, he's the best player on the pitch. So there's absolutely no excuse. I hear you. Maybe, his ball skills are not good, but as I just mentioned to you, if he loses the ball, he's the best presser of the ball, right? And when you say that against Man United, he was kind of running around and stuff, I think the only reason that you say that, Bhavs, is because the rest of the team isn't pressing with him. If the rest of the team is pressing with him, it doesn't look like he's chasing around like a headless chicken, right? Because the whole team is pressing with him. So I think, the team behind him doesn't want to help him, doesn't want to do the running, doesn't want to do the hard work. where he's consistently wants to do the hard work. He consistently puts his heart on his sleeve, even though he's on the bench, even though he's being treated like crap. He continuously is running his heart out. And I love this kid, and I just don't understand why he's not playing. He would completely have changed our season, in my opinion. And it's just ridiculous.
The last time we had a
hold on, Ryan. Just one second. I think we've got a super chat. Yeah, let me just. Aaron Benjamin 499. This guy normally support us. Thanks for your kind donation. On a week that we are supporting anti-racism and abuse caused, I think, how many times League Gunner has to cross the line to get noticed? Well, I think that's a different subject for this. But thanks for your kind donation, man. Thank you. Go on. Sorry, Ryan, you were saying.
No, I was saying the last time we had a player of that mentality of Martinelli, we lost the ball. Was Sanchez, and that's when he first came in. And I remember I think it was after the second or third Champions League game, Wenger came out and publicly bought him out for it. But this is something he'd learned at Barcelona. But again, at Barcelona, they all, as you said, they all do it as one. That was the mentality. So he tried coming over and got balled out for it. So it seems to be a South American thing of doing that, because again, but Martinelli being Brazilian is doing the exact same thing. It's not a bad thing, because I like that. I like to see someone that leaves everything on the pitch, no matter what.
Ryan, I want to go one further than that, because I think you're discrediting it. I don't think it's just a South American thing. I think it's a real quality of a winner in life, in all aspects of life. Forget about football. Yeah. You can see he's a real winner. He will not accept losing, and that's the difference. Not all South Americans play like Martinelli plays. He plays with real commitment. It's a different story for me.
Willian South American.
Yeah, exactly. Willian's Brazilian too.
Yeah, don't get started on Willian's old. Don't get started on him. I could do better than Willian. Look at me.
Yeah. Guys, just for everybody in the comments, I'll put the link in the comments. So if you want to come on the channel and speak to guys, ask them questions, by all means, just make sure we can see you. There's a video, and obviously keep it clean. No need to say. For me, as I said earlier, there is no answer. Even the pundits, the experts, they can't figure out that what is it with Martinelli that he's not getting games. The guy is, as I said, he works hard. He does what he needs to do, and still not getting games during desperate time. And every time he comes on, there's an argument say he saved Arteta a few times.
Yes.
So then, again, going back to the subject, trying to approach next week Thursday, right? How big is this next week Thursday? And is it me? Or are you guys in agreement that going through to final may not necessarily be a good thing for us right now? Because from what I saw of Man United yesterday, that front three, I don't know how we're going to cope with that, or are we just being a little bit because we lost yesterday and we should be confident we can do them in a one-off game? African Gooner, I'll come to you.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys said you'd rather lose next week than in the final. Listen, of course I didn't
get the answer.
Against Man United. I mean, for me, being in a final is everything. And Shahin, we know Mikel Arteta, he seems to be a very lucky manager. As Bob said, he got lucky last night. He got lucky. Pepe saved him. Xhaka saved him. I don't know how we came out of that game still having a chance in this tie. So for me, I'm praying that Man United just don't show up, or they get injuries in the Premier League, because they're second, and they maybe think that, City will drop points, so they'll play their best teams. They get someone injured like Fernandes, so they don't get a penalty. I mean, something like that. It's a one-off game. We can always show up. Obviously, I don't have confidence, but I'd always love to play a final than to get knocked out by Unai Emery. It would be really embarrassing. For me, I'd rather get knocked out to Man United, who spend millions of pounds every single season. Their team, is so much better than ours. For me, it's more respectful.
It's an argument
against that.
I've got a brother who's a United fan, so I'd rather not lose.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a different case.
Yeah, it's an argument, man, that you say.
No, yeah, for sure. For me, lose against United in the final, or play in the final and see what happens. Obviously,
well, you should be saying win, innit? It shouldn't be lose, but that's our mentality right now as Arsenal fans. We just lost all hope. But I will say one thing: if we do get to the final against Man United, if you watch United's games so far against the teams they've played in the Europa League, they're all open. They all want to play on United, and they give space to counter-attack. Arteta against United normally sits back and invites the pressure to counter-attack. So it's not all lost yet. And as I said, in terms of the current feeling we had the same thing after Slavia Prague when we drew 1-1. Oh, this is awful. We're getting knocked out, and then we go and win 4-0. So it's a lot of things can still happen, but that's why I'm saying I'm trying to hold it back right now and just see what happens on Thursday.
Different level of team, and we're talking about United compared to Slavia Prague. Like it's a whole different ball game, man. And as you said, Pogba, Fernandes, Rashford.
I agree. But I'm saying that United's kryptonite is teams that sit back and park the bus and then they counter-attack. And if we can do that again...
as well, let's be honest.
Yeah. When you play on City, on United, they're going to hit you. No doubt about that. But you can... Because I remember when they beat Leipzig 5-0, was it? And then we go beat them the next week 1-0 because we sat back and counter-attacked. So, it is what it is, man. I'm trying to be somehow optimistic. Yeah. Just trying to,
I get what you're saying, but obviously Slavia Prague and Villarreal, as African Gooner says, there's different quality of opposition. There's a different level. And you've got to remember, the previous manager used to be... Their manager is our previous manager. He's up for this. He would love it himself to not because he was hired to win us that Europa League because of his record in the competition. Got to the final, we got battered. He would love it to come back a year later, knock us out, and go and win it and tell us where to stick it, basically. But at the same, I get why the question's been asked because obviously 2 years ago we got to the final. And if it's in all, it looks like if we get through, it'll be an all-English final, obviously. We're going to be in a position again with all the pressures on us because we have to win more because we need the bigger prize in the sense of Champions League football. They're just there to get the trophy, just like Chelsea were, and that's the thing. And most of them players are still here, and that's even more concerning. And going by what we've seen this season in the league alone, doesn't fill me with hope. And I've said from day pretty much after the group stage when the draw was made and all, and because of how many games we played by then, we were never going to win this competition. If we win it, if we win this, it's an absolute miracle. Because look at the if we get past the Villarreal, fantastic because we're in the European final, second one in 3 years. But look at the quality we've got coming up against us in the final. That have just put Vernon to the sword in one leg.
You do have a point, Ryan. It's a good point. We've got somebody here, I think he wants to come on and say, Gooner Express. Hi, man. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
So you want to ask us a question? Or you want to give us your thoughts on the game last night? Go for it.
Yeah. Mainly on, obviously, the game last night. I think the thing about Man United especially, because I'm looking at the final right now, if we can even get to it. But, yes, Arteta has beaten Ole. Or isn't lost to Ole in every single game they've played. But for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his team will be creating a tactic to beat Arsenal. Because Arteta, for me, is too predictable. He's very arrogant as well. He's going to stick to the exact same thing that he does against Man United. United will predict that. They will make the system to beat Arsenal. And they will beat Arsenal. If Fernandes plays even remotely like he did last night against Arsenal, we're going to lose by a few goals. Pogba was on fire as well, and that's if we even get to the final. And right now, I don't think we are. The way we're playing, I genuinely don't see us getting to the final. Emery, everything went wrong for him. He got that red card that he probably shouldn't have got because I think the first yellow card for Capu was harsh. And obviously the penalty, it was smart play from Saka, but from a neutral point of view, it was very cheeky and it probably shouldn't have been a penalty. So Arsenal got completely lucky. I think Arteta needs to owe that game to Pepe because he had to step up, score the penalty, and he was probably the best player on the pitch. And for me, Arteta needs to go. Whether we lose or win this thing. Even if we win it, I want him gone. He's not good enough. He's out of his depth. And to be totally honest, he's too arrogant and ignorant. He just sits there and he just looks lost every single game. Every time something goes wrong, he's sat there shaking his head, hands on his head. He just looks so out of depth. And I think he, as a manager, needs to go to a smaller team, championship level maybe, get some experience, and then come back to the Premier League in maybe 1 or 2 years.
You know what? You do have a point, and I must say I was a little bit 50-50 on Arteta. Okay, but from past couple of weeks, I am now leaning very much towards he needs to go. And I think all these fan protests with Kroenke's needing to do something to please fans, it's not gonna work well for Mikel Arteta. I think they might pull the trigger on him to please fans and then get another manager, maybe spend some money to stable the boat a little bit. But we've been discussing with guys, Gooner Express, about whether if you had the choice, would you lose next week Thursday, or would you go and lose to Man United at final?
I would rather lose on Thursday because there's a few reasons. I don't think Villarreal would beat United, but there's the possibility, and I'd rather lose to the champions in that sense than lose in a final. We've seen what happens when we lose in a final. We obviously lost to Chelsea a couple of years ago. It's the worst feeling in the world, and especially to lose to what I think is Arsenal's biggest rival. I think Tottenham, yes, by geographical sense, it is our biggest rival, but they're a dead team. They're a small little club out of nowhere. So United for me is the biggest rivalry, and to lose to them and to then have to take the banter from them, it's the worst thing that could happen. So I would rather lose to Emery, get Arteta gone, plan for next season, and move on. But for me, I don't want to lose it. I do want Arteta gone, but would I rather win the Europa League and keep him, or lose it and get rid of him? I'd rather win it because I want to win a European trophy. I want us to win something. But yeah, on that question, I'd much rather lose to Villarreal than United.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And obviously, I'm sure I can speak for everybody on the panel that we all want Arsenal to win the European Cup. You know, none of us want Arsenal to lose. We all want Arsenal to win. But our confidence is so low, and especially in the manager, that none of us think he's going to... I asked the guys earlier, do you have any confidence for him to pick the right lineup for Thursday? They all said no. And you know, you're right. Losing to Man United in the final, the banter will be for years, man. It's not going to be just the summer. It's going to go on for years. We still hear about this 8-2 defeat at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's not really something. Do you want to ask, I don't know, Bhav, Ryan, African Gooner, anything? Or do you want to make a comment about going forward?
Can I ask him a question?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you can certainly ask him a question.
Yeah, just on your point there. Sorry, I went to go get my computer charger because my computer was about to die. But I heard the tail end of what you were saying. And for me, really, my question is, does it make more sense? Although, of course, I don't want to lose against Man United in the final. But would that really show the Kroenkes? Because I'm assuming they're going to watch the final, right? They're probably not going to watch next week's game. Will that really showcase to them the disparity between the two teams, right? If we lose 3-4-0 like we did, against Chelsea, will that encourage them, if they don't sell, to actually go and say, listen, we just got thrashed by United in the final. Look at all their quality players. We need to start investing. Is that something that we should be thinking about as in terms of the Kroenkes investing in the club if we get thrashed in the final? I know it's obviously not ideal, but that's the only way it seems like we get things from them these days. Is if we go in massive decline, you go and sign Partey, you go and sign Pepe. The examples have been there for 10 years. So what are your thoughts on that?
No, because, again, we lost to Chelsea 4-1. I think, again, that was a big loss because we all expected to beat Chelsea. We were all gassed. Obviously, we spent a lot of money to go to Baku, the fans that did go. Yeah. And they didn't care. They did not spend money the next season. We only got worse the next season. Obviously, we got knocked out in the round of 32, but I don't see that. I think any other owner, even the Glazers, would do that. They would spend. They'd see that and say, that's not good enough. But the Kroenkes, for me, this is why I say they're the worst owner in the Premier League, just behind Mike Ashley, because they just don't care. I don't think they have any reason to care at all. And at the end of the day, no matter whether you like the manager, whether you dislike him, whatever else, I think we can all agree the Kroenkes are the biggest problem. And until they're gone, we're never really going to be back to where we want to be.
Yes, you're right. We had a show earlier on in the season, and then we were looking at this, and you know, Mikel Arteta didn't give himself the job. Somebody in the club thought that this guy is good enough to be an Arsenal manager. Bhav, I want to ask you something. I don't know your name, my friend. I'll refer to you as Gooner Express. But this gentleman, Gooner Express, it makes a good point. If Mikel Arteta goes on and wins the European Cup, right, then it becomes a predicament for the owners, you know, that they have to stick by him. And,
yeah, they do.
And where is that going to leave Arsenal? Because I think during the course of a season, if we look at that, or during the course of a season, Arteta has made a lot of decisions that are baffling, and I don't think he's shown signs that he's learned from those mistakes. So where would that leave us as a football club? Because we're going to finish 10th or 9th, but we're going to have Champions League football next season, and Arteta as the manager.
I don't know, man. I really don't know, because they keep on selling us this dream that Champions League's the promised land, but we were there for 21 years in a row. We were declining in the Champions League, and our last Champions League game is a game against Bayern Munich, which I won't repeat the scoreline, but we all know it was. So I don't know, man, because even if we get the Champions League football, do we deserve to be there? No, because look at the quality of teams. Did you watch that Real Madrid Chelsea game and then PSG Man City and go, right, you think Arsenal can compete in that? We'll probably be back in the Europa League, you know, if we get into the Champions League group stages and get knocked out. So it's a weird predicament, man. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I guess for the fans is we will see change in the summer in terms of either Cronkies will sell the club because they'll, you know, subside to the pressure, or they're going to spend money. So, and that's what fans want ultimately, because if you look at the 6 clubs that were in the Super League, the only 2 clubs that are not against their owners, Chelsea, Man City. And why do you think that is? It's because their owners spend the money. It's not because their owners have fan representation and they have fans on the board like Arsenal fans want. It's because they spend the money. Fans just care about signings and money and investment. And when you get that, fans will be quiet. Look, Arsenal fans can be all angry right now like we all are, but if we, let me just hypothetically say if we get Grealish in the summer, Jack Grealish, how many fans will be gassed? They'll be getting Grealish shirts. Yeah, Jack Grealish on the back. So
Bhavs, I hear you, man. But listen, we've reached to the point where Grealish is not enough. Of course, I'd be celebrating about him, but we need so much more than Grealish. Grealish is not going to solve our problems. We're going to be stuck in the same cycle because the rest of our team is average, man. We need to replace 6-7 players with like 50 million plus players, man. This Grealish would be amazing, but it's not going to be the answer. They need to spend 250 to 300 mil.
If you go back to the summer of after the Europa League, we won we lost the final, and you know we got investment. We got Pepe. Nicolas Pepe was a big signing at the time, right? So I can see them doing the same thing again.
4 years. Do we yes, of course we want to brag about Pepe being 72 million, but was that really an investment? 25 million over 4 years? That was cheap.
In that window though, we did sign Pepe, we got Luiz, we got Saliba, we got Tierney, and we got Ceballos
as well.
Yeah. And that window, every Arsenal fan after that was saying, "Oh, we'll get third this year. Look forward to this season."
Because our expectations have been
exactly.
That's the worry.
So low.
And it happened this summer as well. We were all for the whole window. We didn't get the signings we needed to get done. We got party deadline day. Every Arsenal fan's guessed. So that's what fans are like. When you get a big name, you're gonna get guessed about it, and that's just gonna happen again this year. It's inevitable, and I'm not gonna lie about it. You know, that's how it is.
Yeah.
There's an issue with that though, really quick. Obviously Pepe came in. You know, the likes of Luiz. Luiz wasn't a big signing. He was a free signing. And I do rate Luiz, but a lot of people still don't. A lot of people didn't rate him when he came in. Saliba's not even been given a chance. He's been sent out on loan. Ceballos has been, let's just be honest, awful. So you take a look at Pepe. Yes, it was a massive signing. Yes, a lot of us expected him to succeed, and we put those expectations on him. But this is what worries me. What if we were to go and spend, I don't know, 70 million on a certain player, someone that we don't really know much like? You know, not many people knew about Pepe when we bought him. What if we go do that again and the guy flops? Because for me, again, the recruitment system is what is lacking right now at Arsenal. We can go and spend the money, but we don't spend it in the right areas. And my worry is we lose, say, 3-4-0 to Man United, or we get knocked out by Villarreal. We go and spend 150 million this summer, which still isn't enough. But we go and spend it, but we spend it in the wrong areas or on the wrong players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, do you know what? I'm looking at Arsenal as some more of, forget the signings, who do we sell? Are we actually changing as a club? Because every year they say, "Oh yeah, we're changing," but the same players that keep failing us.
Yeah, who do we sell at what price, man? That's another thing.
No, I hear that. Yeah. But every year, the club says they were changing this year, but the players that keep failing us remain it. Bellerin, xhaka, so on and so forth. So if you're ruthless enough this time and you're a serious club, you sell these players, and that's when I'll say, okay, you know what? Maybe these guys are doing something in terms of they see a bigger problem or a bigger picture.
But Bhavs, I mean, Kroenke's been at the club. He's been a majority shareholder, and obviously up till 3 years ago, when he became the full owner of this club for 11 plus years. Mm-hmm. Do you really think us losing getting knocked out next week or losing the finals, with a bit of pressure from us doing process or doing our progress and all that, that he's going to go, you know what? I'm going to actually start spending my money and invest not just in the Rams now, invest it in Arsenal, in the not just like we saw that a few years ago with Pepe, but the right players in the right positions, getting the players that are not good enough out of this club. We've had to pay in January to get rid of Ozil, Mustafi, Socrates. We've had to pay. He took loans out to get rid of them. He won't even pay out of his own pocket to get rid of them. So the only way things get better at this club is, first and foremost, the ownership needs to go. We need to, as a fan base, keep the pressure on them for them to, even if it's not Daniel Ek, they sell to someone that's better than this. And going to the Daniel Ek thing, I know some fans are still a bit dubious about him because his net worth, this, that, and the other. Bergkamp, Vieira, and Henry would not risk their reputation jumping on board on this and backing this guy if they didn't believe he was the real deal. Even Freddie Ljungberg last night said, what he's saying about being an Arsenal fan is genuine, because he came to us when I was at the academy. He wanted to do a job with us, but for certain reasons, it didn't happen in the end. We need someone that cares. And if it's Daniel Ek, it'd be a bonus because he is one of us. He's supported the club through the Jules Graham era, Bruce Rioch, Wenger, and now it was obviously Unai Emery and Arteta. And the thing is, as well, if he wants to bring back the glory days, Arteta will be crapping himself straight from the off because the pressure. He'll get given a chance possibly during this summer if it changes this summer, and from day one he'll be told, right, here's a target. By the end of the month, if you've not met that target, you're out. So it's in terms of the league, for example, that first few games of the league, if you haven't hit maximum points, say for example, you get like the easiest start to the season, so to speak, and as an owner, he goes, right, I'm expecting you to get maximum points. Drop 1 point, the pressure's on straight away. And then as soon as he drops a point, he knows anymore for the next month he could be out of a job. Then we might see something different. I doubt it because I haven't been pro Arteta since November. We went on a month and a half. Again, a month and a half from November 1st to Boxing Day. We didn't win a single league game. We got 1 point, and that's away to Leeds. So, but first and foremost, it's all well and good to talk about getting rid of Arteta, Arteta and all that. We need to get rid of the owner first, because nothing will change. He'll just sack off the manager and bring in someone else, and they'll be used as another stake. And the merry-go-round will continue and continue and continue.
Yeah, that's quite possible. But you know what, Ryan? It's interesting you say this, that since November we've got 1 away point. That is sackable form.
And I think that's where
they lose their jobs for less than that.
And that's where I think that's where the arrogance comes from him, because he believes, well, they haven't sacked me by now, and I've had worse form than this. You know what? I'm safe. Well, hey, hence why he did what he did. He's doing what he's doing. Because he believes he's comfortable. His job is safe to him.
Cool. Can I jump in? I have 2 points. The first point is to Ryan. I'm so pro Daniel Ek. I'd love to see it, especially because he's an Arsenal fan. But
you get what I'm saying. Ownership has to change for things to get better.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. My point is in regards to the 3 legends, right? It's all good to have them, on your side, but they haven't come out and really said anything. And I think that's the next step for me to really take this seriously, is for Henry to come out and say, listen, I've actually had a chat with this guy over the phone, and then he means serious business, and I give him the thumbs up. Imagine Thierry Henry came out and said that to the fan base. I think we'll take it to the next level. That was just my point on that. I want to see that go to the next level. It's all cool saying you have these 3 guys backing you, but they need to come out now. It's been about a week or 2, and they need to come out and really tell the fans what's going on. The second point to Gooner Express in terms of that 70 million and the recruitment. Gooner Express, I mean, listen, I'm done with spending money on players that we don't know. We've tried that. We've put up with that for 10 years when we said we don't have money and we're going to, recruit players for cheap money and like win doozy and get them to come. I'm done with that model. I want only established players like Man City, like Chelsea. Go buy the real quality world-class players and put them in our team. And I guarantee you we have success. That's real success. That's real winning mentality. And that's something we've never had. Never. And that's why we're in this predicament over 10 years. And when we should have spent that money, for example, 20, 30 million on world-class players back then, they costed 30 million. We didn't do it. We were cheap. Now, 10 years down the line, when markets have just gone crazy, prices have gone crazy, we can't afford them, and we're being told, oh, well, we don't have money. Where's all that Champions League money we were storing for 22 years? I mean, it is crazy, man. Just pathetic, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm done trying with people we don't know. I only want star players in my team. Of course, we're not gonna get the the Haalands and Mbappe, but you know what I'm talking about. Players we know, players that are a proven talent and are going to come in the right positions and do a job. I'm not going to accept any of this crap during the summer, to be honest. I'm tired of it.
That is a very good point. It's difficult to argue with that, man. As I was saying earlier, there is a real possibility, right, that Mikel Arteta will win the Europa League and he will be here next season. And the owners will buy in 1 or 2 players. And I think that probably is more dangerous or more harmful, because Mikel Arteta has shown throughout the season that he hasn't made the right decision sometimes when he's come up short against few people. Not his fault. He's not experienced. And we'll stick with it. Look, at the end of the day, we're going to finish, 9th, 8th at best. And that's how you're going to judge a manager.
The table, to be honest. There's still teams that have game in hands. I don't know why we think we're finishing 9th, 10th. I think we're finishing 11th if we're being real. We're not going to win all the games we have left. Come on. We've been saying that for the past 3 weeks, and look at what we've been doing. So reduce your expectations, because otherwise our hearts are going to keep getting broken.
Yeah, listen, we've got about another 4 or 5 minutes to run the show, and I'm conscious of the time as well. So I'm just going to wrap up this video by asking you guys a question. What do you think, realistically, can you predict what's going to happen next week, Thursday? I'll start with Ryan.
Oh, God. It depends what Arsenal turns up, Xhaka or hide, basically. If we see the Arsenal we saw last night and he fucking starts experimenting again and doesn't pick the right players or the right team and this, that and the other, we're going to lose 2-0. At least.
You think we're going to lose 2-0?
If he messes about, if he goes with the right system, the right players, we can put it off. We can get through. We'll win. If he gets it
Ryan,
right, we will win 3-1.
On this, or what do you think will happen?
We'll lose. I think we'll lose.
What do you think will do? He will do, and what?
I think we'll lose. I think we lose 2-0 because he overthinks things. He overdoes things. He's too involved in the game. He wants to hold and control the whole game.
Ryan, he doesn't trust his team because they're not good enough. That's the only reason you manage. Listen,
but you know what I'm saying? Because you get what I'm saying, because he's overdoing it himself. He's confusing the players. Yeah, he's confusing the players, and then we're getting these performances, these results, and that's why I think we will get knocked out next week.
Very interesting.
Do you think we'll lose 2-0 and that will be the end of it?
That'll be the end of it.
That will be the end of Arteta as well, or just the Europa League?
I think a bit. For the sake of a few 4 games left by then, wouldn't it be league-wise? I think there's suck it up for the 4 games and then reassess it. Because if they were looking at the sell-up, they'll leave it to the next owner to come in and bin him off instead. But if they want to stay on and prove a point to the fans, then they'll suck him off at the end of the season when we play Brighton within half an hour. Personally, in my opinion, he should have gone after we lost to Burnley at 1-0 at the Emirates in the season. That's when he should have gone. Because that's the thing, I don't trust this ownership either on that, because they haven't acted already as a big club.
That's fair enough. Bhavs? I know it's hard. It's one of those situations that your heart and your head will tell you 2 different things.
Yeah.
Go 1-0 Arsenal. We'll go through.
Oh
God, he's jinxed it now.
No, I'm just going off the basis that we'll potentially have players back or have a better team out there. And also, I think Arteta might, because his job's on the line now, I think he might go for that pragmatic approach, like he did against Slavia Prague, the second leg. Not the first leg, but the second leg. Forget the passing patterns, forget overcomplicating it. Go for what your players can do the best at. Runs in behind, counter-attack and counter-pressing. So, but 1-0 is a very sticky scoreline because we'd go through, but it'd be hard on the heart, let's just say.
Bav, do you trust our defense not to concede?
Not necessarily, but if you got David Luiz back, I don't know, man. He's experienced defender, David Luiz is.
If he comes back, he'll probably play with Gabriel.
Yeah, with Gabriel.
Those two, to play. Probably Tierney would be back as well. Mm-hmm. So Tierney offers us good options going forward as well. So we need to look at the positives as well. Aubameyang will probably be.
What will happen with Tierney coming back? What happens is Arsenal's space going forwards increases because you've got a natural left footer providing width. Teams have to come towards him, give some space to Odegaard, give some space to Smith Rowe. There's no coincidence since Tierney's come out of the team, or injured, sorry, that you see Odegaard decline, Smith Rowe decline. That's why Tierney is going to be the big return, because he gives that natural width on the left hand side. And obviously teams have more to worry about then. You got left from Tierney, right hand side Xhaka and Odegaard, Aubameyang down the middle. So Emery will be. I think that's why I heard last night that the Villarreal players walked off the pitch, heads down, depressed, because they realised that we've got a lifeline and we've got the players to do so as well. And obviously Nicolas Pepe, I think he's got 10 goals and assists in the Europa League already, which is the most out of anyone there. So he gets goals and assists there. Saka, if he turns up, he technically, his penalty that he won, which he won, it wasn't a penalty for being honest, but he won it. That's kept us in this game so far. So I'm going for 1-0. It could be 2-3 to Arsenal if we really turn up, but also could be 2-1 or 2-0 to Villarreal. But I'm going to go 1-0 Arsenal. We'll just stick by it.
I'll just say I wouldn't start Aubameyang next week because he's not the Aubameyang of what we've seen. He's a Aubameyang we've seen this season, not last season. I'd rather play Martinelli or Lacazette, I'd even put Balogun.
I start Aubameyang because he has.
You're saying play Balogun in our
Aubameyang has.
That's what I'm saying. I'd rather play them because I'd have more faith in
Aubameyang has 5 goals in his last 3 semi-finals for Arsenal.
But this
season, Balogun hasn't played all season, and you think he's going to play next week. I mean, if you said Martinelli, I would have been okay.
I did say Martinelli. I said Lacazette, Martinelli.
He's a goal scorer. Aubameyang is a goal scorer. No matter what you think about him, even at his worst season, he's got 14 gols.
Yeah, I think Arteta has previously shown that when he comes to these moments, he'll play Aubameyang because he probably thinks same as everybody that if there is one chance of one guy going through 1-on-1 and goal, Lacazette missed it last time. If you guys remember, I think it was against Slavia Prague. Aubameyang will probably score. So, African, what do you think will happen next week Thursday?
Yeah, I want to emphasize on Bhav's point about Tierney. Just so important to our team, man. He's just so important to our team. And it's not only about the overlapping Bhavs, it's the quality, man. He can pick out the pass. Let's see, we have quality in terms of Chambers, but Chambers yesterday, he was terrible. He was just crossing it out of bounds, really, right? It wasn't a really good game for him. The difference with Tierney is you know what he's going to do, but you can't stop him. It's like Messi. You know what he's going to do, but you just can't stop him because he's so good at what he does. And then his quality and delivery is just on another level, and we can see he can score bangers as well. So I think he's just going to add a completely different dynamic to us. Foyth is not going to be the Dani Alves that he was yesterday. I mean, that was just ridiculous. But to be honest, my heart and soul is saying Arsenal's going to turn up next week. We have to turn up. We cannot lose next week for both my heart's sake and just Arsenal fans around the world. It's just going to be so embarrassing. So I have faith that Aubameyang is going to be the hero. He's had a terrible season, and I think he's going to come back next week, and he's going to showcase that he's still the world-class striker that we paid for him, and he's going to come back and score 2-3 goals. I think we're going to win 3-1. Bhavs, I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I think they will score. I think it'll be 1-1, and then second half, we're just going to go for it, and we're going to score 2-3, bang, bang, game over. The other side of me says, like Bhav, we'll be winning 1-0, and then last minute we'll make a stupid mistake or something, and it'll be 1-1, and we'll get knocked out. That's the flip side. And we said we're unpredictable, but my heart and soul is really crying out for us to win. And I think we will go for it. We have no choice.
Gooner Express, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan kind of summed it up perfectly. I think it really depends on Arteta, because the players, you can argue the players have been bad this season and they're the main issue. My argument to that will be most of the squad that played against Villarreal were either Arteta's players that he brought in, or players that he actually asked to stay / obviously gave them a new contract. So I don't think that that's an excuse anymore, because he could have just not kept some of these players. But I think we'll win because Tierney will most likely be in the team. I don't think he's going to be as good as he has been this season yet, because obviously he's coming back from the injury, but just him being there will help out a lot more. Chukwueze will struggle to do what he did against Xhaka. I think their midfield will be a little bit slower as well. Obviously, Tierney stopping the runs. And I think Arteta's such a lucky manager in cup competitions. He just gets so lucky sometimes where we could, like example, the Sheffield United game in the FA Cup win. We scored literally last minute to win the game. So he's a lucky manager. I think he'll get the win. I'm going to say 3-1 with the African Gooner. I think we'll score the third goal late. It'll be a very late goal, so it won't be a dominating performance, but it could easily be 1-0 to Villarreal as well. I think it's the hardest game to predict this season, because it just depends on who plays, how we play, and whether Mikel Arteta decides to be. I think it depends. Example: if we're losing, say 1-0, he needs to instantly change things at that point. And the question is, will he? If he keeps doing what he's doing at 1-0, and it's getting to like the 70th, 80th minute, you might as well just call the game off because we're not going to win at that point.
Listen, it is on Arteta, but it has to be on the players as well, right? If Arteta sets us up right, it's on the players to perform, right? I mean, I think even if we're losing or things are not going to plan, listen, as a player myself, right? Of course, not at that level, but like you throw the manager's plans out of the window, right? Because this is a European semi-final. You're about to get knocked out. Your season's on the line. As Pepe said, they're looking forward to this. I think you forget about what the manager's saying and you start playing your own game, right? With the freedom, as Ryan said, you stop listening to the man managing and you just go for it. And I think really the players also need to be held accountable if Arteta gets the lineup right next week. But yeah, I just want to add that.
Yeah, also we've got to remember there is a planned protest again for next Thursday. So they'll probably players cannot. Obviously they can't do what they did last week. Because as we saw, there was videos going up where Bellingham had gone into the concourse of the upper tier and was watching it all. No, stay away from it. Don't switch off. Because if anything goes wrong, that would be an excuse. Then we sort of.
I'm not sure if next week Thursday is a really good time to protest, Ryan. To be honest with you,
I'm not just saying that's. I'm just saying that's what's in place.
No, I know. You're not. I'm just saying. But listen, I think these boys will turn up next week Thursday. They have to.
I hope so. I hope I'm wrong.
They got no other options. They have to turn up. I think they will turn up. I'll go with the 3-1 that you guys said. They will get to the final. And that's another show entirely. And so whether we do actually want to face Man United on the current form that they're in. But listen, guys, thank you all very much for giving us your time. Whether you've been on comments, Gooner Express for coming on, African Gooner, Bhav, Ryan. Bhav has got a YouTube channel. It's called Bhav.
It's called Bhavs 14. So as you can see just there. That's Bhavs 14.
Bhavs 14.
Same on Twitter and Instagram as well. But thank you very much for that.
Ryan as well, Mr. Arsenal podcast. You can catch Ryan there to watch his content. African Gooner on Twitter, Gooner Express. I don't know, brother, if you got a channel or something, but if you want to plug yourself, go for it.
On YouTube, the Gooner Express, and then on Twitter at Gooner Express _. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
No problem, man. Thank you all for being here. If you're new, please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, subscribe to all the guys that have kindly given us their time being here. Hopefully next week Friday we'll do another show and we'll all have a lot positive things to talk about, and Mikel has smashed it and these guys have gone and put them to sword and we're all going to be laughing. So thank you guys, thanks for watching us. Obviously Lev was not here today, so I had to deputize for the hosting duties, but have a good evening and hopefully we'll see you guys soon.